Do you remember the very first time you tried speaking a new language with a total stranger? That moment, it feels kind of scary, but wow, also really, really powerful. Definitely stick with us because later on I'm actually going to share the exact words, like word for word, from my first little mini conversation in English. So you can maybe try it too. This is all part of our 30-day English-speaking transformation journey, and today's deep dive is focused on day 6, my first mini conversation in English. Wow. Our mission really is to unpack why these tiny little steps with language feel so huge, why they're breakthroughs, not just for language, but maybe for learning any new skill.
And what's really fascinating, if you look at the research around forming habits and acquiring skills, it's that these first seemingly small actions, they're actually much better predictors of sticking with something long term than, say, hours and hours of just preparation. It's not just practice. It's about getting past what researchers like BJ Fogg call the initiation barrier. So this isn't just, one person's story. It's actually a fundamental principle of how we build new abilities.
Absolutely. And today, well, day 6 in the journal was a massive day for me on that front. For the 5 days before that, I'd been, practicing greetings, talking to myself in the mirror, which honestly felt a bit weird, but it did help with sounds I needed. Working on vocabulary, even sort of whispering English quietly in public places. Which was strange, but it built up the nerve, I guess. All that felt like gearing up. But today was the day I actually had my first real conversation. I was in this little shop, wanted to buy something.
Oh.
And instead of just using my own language like usual, I thought, nope, today's the day. English.
Okay. The moment of truth.
Exactly. So I looked at the shopkeeper, took a breath, and just said, hello, how much is this?
Simple and direct.
Yeah. He looked up, kind of smiled a little and said, it's 20 rupees.
Uh-huh.
And honestly, for like half a second, my brain kind of froze just processing that hello.
Yeah.
I almost just stared.
Uh-huh. That little processing delay.
Right. But I pushed through it and managed to say, okay, thank you very much.
And that was it.
That was it. The whole thing. Just a few words. But you know how I felt right after, like walking out of the shop?
Tell me.
Felt like I'd climbed a mountain. Seriously.
Yeah.
For the very first time, the English wasn't just practice in my head or in the mirror. It was real. It did something in the actual world.
That feeling, that climbing a mountain feeling, it's incredibly common. It's actually really well documented in linguistic psychology. Studies looking at self-efficacy, basically, your belief in your own ability in language learning, they consistently show these early successful interactions, these performance accomplishments, are the biggest drivers of confidence, your nervousness beforehand. Classic example of what linguist Stephen Krashen called the affective filter. It's like an emotional wall that can actually block learning. But by just taking that tiny step, you kind of lowered that wall.
Wow, okay, the affective filter. That makes so much sense. Because even after it went well, I still had that little voice, whispering, okay, but what if it goes wrong next time? How do you advise people, from your perspective studying this, to kind of quiet that doubt and keep the momentum going after a win like that, even a small one?
That's a great question. The key thing to remember is momentum isn't built on perfection. It's built on consistency. Each little success, even if it's literally just 2 words exchanged successfully, it starts building a positive feedback loop in your brain. It basically tells your brain, see, that wasn't terrifying. I survived. I can probably do that again. The trick is to acknowledge the fear. Yeah, it's there, but not let it stop you from the next small action. It's about building a habit of doing, not waiting until you feel perfectly ready.
Okay, habit of doing, not waiting for readiness. I like that. And that leads right into the main practical tip I really took away from this whole thing, and something I really want you to think about. Start with mini conversations. Keep them short, keep them focused, low pressure. Things like, how much is this? That's perfect. Or maybe asking, where is the bus stop? Even just, can I have some water? Simple, direct, and really effective for getting your foot in the door of real-world speaking.
And if we zoom out and connect that to the bigger picture, how language is actually learned, these little sentences. They're like the foundational bricks. They don't just build your confidence, which is huge. They also let you practice basic sentence structures, sounds, pronunciation, all in a situation where the stakes feel pretty low. And these tiny interactions, they will gradually, almost without you noticing, start to grow into slightly longer than more complex conversations. That's how you build a real working understanding of the language.
Exactly. So look, if I could do it feeling nervous, kind of awkward, but doing it anyway, then you absolutely can too. And here's the really crucial part, I think. Don't wait until you feel 100% ready. Because honestly, that feeling might never totally arrive. There's always going to be a little bit of doubt, maybe. So here's a challenge for you, if you're feeling up for it. Today, or maybe tomorrow, try to speak just one small sentence in English to someone. Could be anyone, shopkeeper, friend, teacher, someone online, even if it's just 2 words. Thank you. Excuse me.
Right.
I promise you, just doing it once will give you such a boost. Actually, thinking back on it, did you find that after that little shop exchange, it changed how you felt about your next practice session? Did it shift your motivation internally?
Oh, definitely. It's amazing how just one brief, real interaction can totally change your internal motivation because it suddenly makes the goal learn English feel less like this big, abstract mountain and more like something tangible, something achievable. You've moved from just theory, just practice drills, into actual application, and that is incredibly powerful for keeping you going.
Yeah, it makes it real. Okay, so let's just quickly recap the core ideas from digging into day 6. So I had my first ever mini conversation in English. Asked the simple question, how much is this? Got a reply, it said thank you. Super short, but the feeling afterwards. Huge confidence boost. It really proved that even a tiny bit of real-world use makes a massive difference to how capable you feel.
Hmm.
And the big lesson, backed up by what you were saying about habit research and language psychology, is that these small conversations, they really are victories.
Hmm.
Big ones, actually. They break that initial barrier, that fear, and they prove to you that you can do it.
Right. And maybe a final thought for you to carry away from this deep dive. If just summoning the courage to speak a few simple words in a new language can feel like conquering a mountain, where else in your life, or maybe in other things you're trying to learn, could you benefit from taking just one tiny, imperfect first step? Instead of waiting, for that perfect moment of readiness that might never come.
The experience and the feeling